If you're over 60 or you're buying protein powder for a parent who is, I need you to stop for 1 second before your next scoop. Because there's a very good chance that protein isn't doing what you think it's doing. Not because the protein is bad, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because of one specific number almost nobody talks about, a threshold your body has quietly raised as you've aged, and most people are drinking their shake right underneath it every single day for years. I've spent years working with older adults and their families on nutrition for muscle preservation. And this one number is the difference between a protein shake that actually rebuilds muscle and one that basically just becomes an expensive, slightly chalky drink. Today I'm going to show you exactly what that number is, why your muscles stop responding to protein the way they used to, and the simple adjustment, no new supplement, no gimmick that can help your body actually use the protein you're already buying. Stick around because near the end, I'll walk you through a 4-week way to notice if it's working. And before we go further, tell me in the comments, how old are you, or how old is the parent you're caring for, and where are you watching from? I read every single one. Here's what actually happens in your body as you age. Every time you eat protein, your muscles are supposed to respond by switching on a process called muscle protein synthesis. Basically, your body reading the amino acids you just ate as a signal to repair and rebuild muscle tissue. In your 20s and 30s, this switch flips easily. A moderate amount of protein, and your muscles respond strongly. But research on aging muscle has shown something called anabolic resistance. After roughly your mid-60s, that same switch becomes harder to flip. Your muscle cells need a bigger, more concentrated signal to respond the same way a younger person's muscles would to a smaller one. Inside that amino acid signal, one amino acid matters more than the rest: leucine. Leucine acts like the ignition key for muscle protein synthesis. And here's the part almost nobody knows. Researchers have identified something called the leucine threshold, the minimum amount of leucine needed in a single meal to fully switch on that muscle-building response. In younger adults, that threshold sits around 2 to 2.5 grams. But in older adults, because of anabolic resistance, that threshold rises to around 3 grams in a single sitting. Below that number, the switch turns on, but only partially. You still get some benefit, but you're leaving a large part of your protein's potential on the table. Above it, your body responds close to how it did decades earlier. On top of that, aging brings other quiet obstacles. Stomach acid production naturally declines with age, which can slightly slow protein digestion. Insulin sensitivity in muscle tissue drops, making it harder for amino acids to be shuttled into cells efficiently. And many older adults simply eat less protein per meal than they think, spreading a small amount across the day instead of hitting that threshold even once. None of this means your body has given up. It means the bar moved, and most people are still aiming at the old bar. So let's talk about where people usually get their protein and why some sources make hitting that 3-gram leucine threshold much easier than others. Whey protein is actually one of the best studied options for older adults. It digests quickly and has one of the highest leucine concentrations of any common protein source. A standard 30-gram scoop typically contains around 2.5 grams of leucine, close to the older adult threshold, but for many people, still just under it. Plant proteins like pea, soy, or wheat-based blends are a wonderful option for people who can't tolerate dairy, but researchers have consistently found they contain meaningfully less leucine gram for gram and lower overall digestibility scores, measured by something called DIAAS, a protein quality scale. Wheat protein in particular scores far lower than whey. That doesn't make plant protein bad, it just means you typically need a larger portion or a blend fortified with extra leucine to reach the same threshold. Collagen protein has become extremely popular for joint and skin support, and there's real value there. But collagen is nearly absent in leucine and other essential amino acids needed for muscle building. If someone over 70 is relying on a collagen supplement as their main protein source, thinking it's doing the same job as whey for their muscles, that's a genuine gap worth knowing about. In whole foods, chicken breast, eggs, fish, dairy are excellent, but portion size matters enormously. Getting 3 full grams of leucine from chicken alone typically takes around 30 to 40 grams of protein, roughly a large chicken breast, in one sitting, which can be genuinely difficult for someone with a smaller appetite. This is exactly why so many people take a protein supplement and still don't see the muscle-preserving results they expected, not because the ingredient was wrong, but because the dose, timing, or leucine density quietly missed the threshold their aging body now requires. If this is the first time you've heard the term leucine threshold, that alone tells you why this information doesn't reach most people hit like. So this reaches the person in your life who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you want the rest of this channel's evidence-based aging and nutrition content. Here's the part that changes everything, and it costs you nothing extra. You don't need a new exotic ingredient. You need to stop thinking about protein in small, spread-out amounts and start thinking in threshold doses. Studies on older adults have found that when a single meal contains around 25 to 40 grams of high-quality protein, with roughly 3 grams of leucine, muscle protein synthesis rises to levels much closer to what younger adults experience from a smaller amount. This is sometimes called protein pacing or threshold dosing, and it's one of the most consistently supported findings in the nutrition science of aging and muscle. The practical version looks like this. If you're using a whey-based protein, look for one where a single serving delivers close to 3 grams of leucine, not 2. Some products now list this on the label, and if not, roughly 35 to 40 grams of whey protein isolate will typically get you there. If you're using a plant-based protein because of dairy intolerance, look specifically for one fortified with added leucine or blended with pea and rice protein together, since that combination raises the overall amino acid profile closer to whey's. If you're relying mainly on food, the goal is to build 1 or 2 meals a day around a genuine threshold-sized portion of protein, a large serving of fish, eggs, dairy, or lean meat, rather than assuming small amounts sprinkled through the day add up the same way. And critically, none of this works in isolation. The research is very clear that resistance exercise, even light resistance bands or bodyweight movements 2 to 3 times a week, dramatically amplifies how much of that protein signal actually gets converted into muscle. Protein without any muscle loading movement still helps, but protein paired with even modest resistance activity is where the real gains in strength and muscle happen. So the secret isn't a new supplement at all. It's dosing what you already eat correctly and giving your muscles a reason to use it. Let's make this simple and actionable. First, pick 1 or 2 meals a day, ideally breakfast, and either lunch or the meal after any physical activity, and build them around a threshold-size protein portion. Around 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein, aiming for close to 3 grams of leucine. Second, timing matters more after exercise. If you or your parent does any walking, light strength training, or physical therapy, try to have that threshold-size protein meal or shake within about 1 to 2 hours afterward when muscle is most responsive. Third, don't panic about spreading protein evenly across 6 small meals. Current research actually favors fewer, larger, threshold-crossing servings over many small ones that never quite reach the trigger point. Fourth, pair protein with some form of resistance movement most days, even 5 to 10 minutes of chair squats, wall push-ups, or resistance bands. This is the single biggest amplifier of everything else on this list. Fifth, stay mindful of hydration and vitamin D status. Since both influence how efficiently muscle tissue can use the amino acids, you're providing it a quick conversation with a doctor about vitamin D levels is worth having. And finally, be patient with digestion. If stomach comfort is an issue, a fast-digesting whey isolate or a well-fortified plant isolate is usually easier to tolerate than a thick blended shake with added fillers. Here's what a realistic 4-week window can look like once threshold dosing and light resistance movement become consistent. In week 1, most people don't notice dramatic change, and that's expected. The body needs consistent signaling before it shows up as anything measurable. Some people report slightly less post-activity soreness or fatigue by the end of the week. In week 2, many people notice a bit more steadiness getting up from a chair, or slightly less breathlessness climbing stairs, small functional gains, not dramatic transformations, but meaningful in daily life. In week 3, if resistance movement has been consistent, grip strength and the ability to carry groceries or stand from the floor often start to feel noticeably easier. This lines up with research showing measurable strength changes typically begin in the 2 to 4 week range with consistent protein and resistance training. By week 4, many people describe an overall sense of steadier energy through the day and better recovery after activity again. Not an overnight transformation, but a real trackable shift in the right direction. The honest truth is that meaningful muscle mass changes usually take 8 to 12 weeks to show up clearly, but functional improvements, balance, ease of movement, less fatigue, often show up sooner, and those are the changes that matter most for staying independent. If you want to look into this yourself, here's where to start. Search for research on the leucine threshold and anabolic resistance in aging muscle. This is a well-established area studied by exercise physiologists and geriatric nutrition researchers for over a decade. You'll find studies comparing muscle protein synthesis rates in younger versus older adults given identical protein doses, consistently showing older adults need a higher leucine dose to reach the same response. You'll also find DIAAS protein quality comparisons between whey, plant, and collagen proteins, which is where the digestibility differences I mentioned come from. And you'll find systematic reviews on protein pacing and meal distribution in older adults, which support fewer, larger, threshold-crossing protein meals over many small ones. None of this is exotic or hidden science. It's simply not what gets marketed on a protein tub, because measure your leucine and time it around movement doesn't sell as easily as a new flavor. Let's cover the most common mistakes I see. Mistake 1. Spreading protein too thin, 5 tiny snacks a day that never individually reach the threshold. Mistake 2. Assuming any protein powder is equal without checking leucine content or protein quality. Mistake 3. Skipping resistance movement entirely and expecting protein alone to rebuild strength protein without a stimulus to use it is like sending building materials to a site with no construction happening. Mistake 4. Switching to a lower leucine plant or collagen protein for taste or digestion reasons without adjusting the portion size upward to compensate. And mistake 5. Giving up after 1 week because nothing feels different yet, when the research consistently shows the earliest functional changes take at least 2 to 3 weeks of consistency to appear. Quick answers to the questions I get most. Can this be combined with medications? Protein itself is food, not a drug. But if you or your parent has kidney disease, are on blood thinners, or take multiple medications, please check with a doctor before significantly increasing protein intake, since some kidney conditions require protein limits. Is this safe with kidney problems? For healthy kidneys, higher protein within these ranges is well supported by research. For existing kidney disease, this is exactly the conversation to have with a physician first. How long should someone follow this approach? This isn't a short-term fix. It's a sustainable, ongoing way of eating for anyone focused on preserving muscle and independence as they age. Do you need an expensive specialty protein for this to work? No. A well-chosen, leucine-rich whey isolate, a fortified plant protein, or simply larger, well-timed food-based protein portions can all get you to the threshold. What matters is the dose and the timing, not the price tag. Muscle isn't just about strength, it's about being able to get up off the floor without help, carry your own groceries, and stay independent in the years that matter most. You don't need a miracle ingredient to protect that. You need to know the real number your body's asking for now, and give it what it's actually asking for at the right time, with a little movement to back it up. If this helped you understand your own protein routine or gave you something useful to try with a parent you're caring for, subscribe and share it with the person who needs to hear about that 3-gram threshold today.